You know how some cases just stick with you? The kind that makes seasoned detectives lose sleep and leaves investigators questioning everything they thought they knew about human nature? Well, let me tell you about a case that happened right in the heart of Phoenix, Arizona, on what should have been just another beautiful desert morning. It was Friday, April 28th, 2023, and the sun was painting the desert landscape in those golden hues that make you understand why people fall in love with Arizona. The Reach 11 Trail was buzzing with its usual crowd of morning hikers, joggers, and dog walkers. You know, the type of place where neighbors wave at each other, where people feel safe enough to walk alone, where the biggest worry is usually remembering to bring enough water. Lauren Heike was 29 years old and had that kind of energy that just lit up a room. Friends called her a burst of sunshine, always laughing, always finding something to be grateful for. She'd recently moved from Washington State to Phoenix, chasing that fresh start we all dream about sometimes. Her new apartment was perfect, close to the trail she'd grown to love, where she could start her mornings with a peaceful walk among the cacti and desert brush. That Friday morning started like any other. Lauren called her close friend River Hubble, just like she did every single day. They had this beautiful ritual where they'd share what they were grateful for. Simple stuff, you know? Lauren was excited about her morning coffee, about the walk she was planning, about just being alive on such a gorgeous day. River would later say that Lauren sounded happy, content, maybe even excited about whatever the day might bring. But here's where the story takes its first dark turn. That phone call at 10 in the morning would be the last time anyone would ever hear Lauren's voice. Lauren stepped out of her apartment and onto the familiar trail, probably breathing in that crisp desert air, maybe thinking about her plans for the weekend. The Reach 11 Trail wasn't some remote hiking path. It's right there between Phoenix and Scottsdale, close to busy roads, surrounded by nice neighborhoods. The kind of place where you'd never expect something terrible to happen. But something terrible was about to happen. 24 hours passed, then more. River tried calling, no answer. Lauren didn't show up for work, which wasn't like her at all. By Saturday morning, that gnawing worry had turned into real panic. Something was very, very wrong. At just after 10 in the morning on April 29th, a local woman was doing what she did every Saturday, walking her dog along the trail. She knew the area like the back of her hand, had walked these paths hundreds of times. Her husband had even waved at Lauren during her morning walks. They didn't know her name, but they recognized her as one of the regular hikers. As she rounded a corner near Libby Street, something caught her eye. Hidden in the desert brush, near a barbed wire fence, was something that would haunt her forever. It was Lauren, but not the vibrant, laughing woman her husband had waved to just days before. The woman's hands shook as she dialed 911. When you listen to that call, and the police eventually released it, you can hear the terror in her voice, the way she's trying to stay calm while describing something no one should ever have to see.
911, where's your emergency?
Oh, I just found a woman's body out in the desert. You know, my address is, and I was just going for a walk, and she's there. I didn't touch her, I didn't do anything, but it looks like she's been there for a while.
Here, let me connect you to paramedics here.
Okay, thanks. Fire department, what's the location of the emergency? Okay, is that a house, apartment, or a business, ma'am? It's a house. Okay, is that a house out in Phoenix? Yes. Is this a good phone number for you? Yes. What's going on there? There's a woman. I think she's dead. I'm sorry, ma'am. I can't hear you. Go ahead. I just observed a woman laying in the desert behind my house, and I think she's dead. Okay, all right. How old does she look to you? She looks like in her mid-20s, maybe 30. Okay, did you get a clothing description? Did you see if she was wearing clothes? She didn't work out clothes. Black bra, black pants. One shoe is off. She's got kind of blondish hair. Okay. Okay. All right, I have help coming, okay? Are you able to get near her? I don't want you to put yourself in danger, but I do want to see if she's breathing, okay? That's important. Help is coming. Okay. Let me walk out there. She's back. And then are there any weapons or drugs laid out around her? Or is it just her? It's just her. Okay. All right, any noticeable injuries or bleeding, ma'am? Let me walk out. Okay, help is coming, okay? We're coming as fast as we can. I just need to make sure she's breathing right now. Okay, hold on. it doesn't look like she's breathing. Okay, and you can't see her chest rising or falling? No, and there is blood coming from under her workout bra. Blood coming from her bra? Does it look like she was stabbed or shot? I don't know, I can't tell. Is there a hole? No, not that I can see. But it does look like she's been here for a while. Okay, PD, are you on the phone?
When the police arrived, they expected to find maybe a hiking accident, someone who'd fallen or gotten overheated. The desert can be dangerous, and they get calls like that all the time. But what they found was something entirely different. This wasn't an accident. This was something much, much worse. Lauren's body was hidden from the main trail, tangled in brush next to that barbed wire fence. There were signs of a violent struggle everywhere, torn clothing scattered around, evidence that she'd fought for her life. The scene was so brutal that even veteran investigators, people who'd seen everything you could imagine, were visibly shaken. But here's what made this case even more disturbing. The location wasn't random. Someone had either followed Lauren to a secluded spot or had waited for the right moment when no other hikers would see what was happening. This wasn't a crime of passion or a random encounter gone wrong. There was something calculated about it. The investigation moved fast. Phoenix PD flooded the area with forensic teams, combing through every inch of desert brush. They bagged Lauren's missing shoe, found near that barbed wire fence. They collected everything, torn pieces of clothing, anything that might hold DNA evidence, any clue that could lead them to whoever had done this. But then something interesting happened. Over the next few days, 911 dispatch started getting more calls. 3 different people called to report seeing someone suspicious near the trail, a man who didn't fit in with the typical hikers and joggers. He was acting strange, out of place, like he was watching or waiting for something. The descriptions were remarkably consistent. A guy between 5 feet 8 inches and 6 feet tall, wearing dark clothes, carrying a backpack. But more than his appearance, it was his behavior that stood out. He wasn't there to exercise or enjoy nature. He was there for something else entirely. Then came the breakthrough that would crack this case wide open. On May 2nd, investigators found surveillance footage from a camera near the trail. The video was grainy, but it showed something chilling. A man running through the desert, his backpack bouncing as he moved. This wasn't a casual jog. This was someone running like his life depended on it. And the timestamp showed it happened right around the time Lauren disappeared. The police released the video to the public, and that's when the tips started pouring in. People recognized him. Someone even mentioned that they'd seen him carrying a small, sharp knife, the kind you could easily conceal but that could do serious damage. Now here's where the story takes an unexpected twist. While investigators were chasing down these leads, they sent Lauren's shoe to the lab for DNA testing. What they found changed everything. There was DNA on that shoe that didn't belong to Lauren, DNA that belonged to someone who was already in the criminal database. Suddenly, this wasn't just about finding a stranger. They had a name, an address, a history. The DNA belonged to someone with a record, someone who lived less than a mile from where Lauren was found. Zion William Teasley was 22 years old, and his life story reads like a series of red flags that everyone somehow missed. Born right there in Scottsdale, he'd been in trouble since he was a teenager. In 2018, when he was just 17, he and 2 friends had robbed a Jack in the Box at gunpoint. Instead of serious jail time, he got probation, a second chance that he apparently didn't appreciate. But here's what makes this case even more disturbing. The more investigators dug into Zion's background, the more they realized this attack on Lauren probably wasn't his first. He'd been fired from multiple jobs for making female co-workers uncomfortable. One manager at a restaurant called him unstable after he lost control and hit a female employee. The pieces were falling into place, but investigators wanted to be absolutely certain before they made their move. They put Zion under surveillance, watching his every move. And that's when they discovered something that made their blood run cold. He had a plane ticket to Detroit for May 5th. Was he planning to run? Had he been planning this attack and his escape route all along? The investigators couldn't take any chances. On May 4th, just 6 days after Lauren's body was found, Phoenix police surrounded Zion's apartment. Body camera footage shows them pounding on the door, shouting, "Phoenix police, open up." When Zion stepped outside, he didn't resist. He just put his hands up and let them handcuff him, like he'd been expecting this moment. But the most chilling part of this whole story is what investigators found when they searched his apartment. That small, sharp knife witnesses had mentioned, it was there, the backpack from the surveillance video, sitting right in his closet. And when they examined the knife, it matched the type of wounds Lauren had suffered. During questioning, Zion tried to play dumb. He claimed he wasn't anywhere near the trail that day, said he didn't know who Lauren was. But when investigators showed him the DNA evidence and the surveillance footage, he just shut down completely. No explanations, no denials, just silence. Here's what investigators think happened on that terrible Friday morning. Zion had been watching the trail, possibly for days, learning the patterns of regular hikers. When he saw Lauren walking alone, he followed her to that secluded spot near the barbed wire fence. What happened next was so violent, so brutal, that investigators believe Lauren fought for her life, trying to escape over that fence before he overpowered her. But the case took yet another disturbing turn in December 2023. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office announced they would be seeking the death penalty against Zion. Then, in July 2024, they added more charges: assault and burglary from a 2020 case involving another woman in another knife attack. The victim in that case survived, but the similarities were terrifying. And just when you think this story couldn't get any worse, in February 2025, Zion was charged with 10 more counts involving minors. Charges related to incidents from 2019 and 2020. Court records showed he'd admitted to distributing inappropriate material to children. This wasn't just a random attack on a hiker. This was a pattern of violence and predatory behavior that had been escalating for years. Lauren wasn't his first victim. She was just the one who couldn't escape. As this moment, Zion Teasley sits in Maricopa County Jail, held without bond. His trial is scheduled for October 28, 2025, and Lauren's family has vowed to be there every step of the way. Her parents, Jeff and Lana, have become advocates for victims' rights, working with Arizona Voice for Crime Victims to make sure Lauren's story isn't forgotten. But here's what haunts me about this case. Lauren was living her best life. New city, new apartment, new possibilities stretching out ahead of her. She was grateful for simple things like morning coffee and desert walks. She called her friend every day to share what made her happy. She was exactly the kind of person who makes the world a little brighter just by being in it. And on what should have been just another beautiful Friday morning in Phoenix, all of that was taken away by someone who had been allowed to walk free despite years of warning signs, despite a pattern of violence that everyone somehow missed or ignored. The Reach 11 Trail is still there, still popular with hikers and dog walkers. But it's different now. There's a memorial where Lauren was found, flowers that neighbors refresh regularly, a reminder of a life cut short and a community forever changed. Lauren's friend Rivers still thinks about that last phone call, about how happy Lauren sounded, how excited she was about her simple morning plans. Sometimes the most ordinary moments become the most precious memories, especially when you realize they're the last ones you'll ever have. This case shook Phoenix to its core, not just because of how brutal it was, but because of how preventable it might have been. How many red flags were missed? How many chances were there to stop Zion before he escalated to murder? And how many other women might have been saved if someone had taken those earlier warning signs seriously? As we wait for justice to be served in October 2025, Lauren's story serves as a reminder that evil can hide in plain sight, that the most dangerous predators are often the ones living right in our neighborhoods, walking the same trails, shopping at the same stores. But it's also a reminder of something else, the incredible strength of communities that come together when tragedy strikes, the dedication of investigators who never give up on seeking justice, and the enduring power of a young woman's spirit who found joy in simple morning walks and gratitude for everyday blessings. Lauren Heike deserved so much more than 29 years. She deserved to see more sunrises over the desert, to drink more morning coffee, to make more daily gratitude calls to her friend. She deserved a life full of the simple pleasures that made her so happy. Instead, her story became a true crime documentary, a cautionary tale, a reminder that sometimes the most beautiful morning can turn into your worst nightmare. But maybe, just maybe, by telling her story, by remembering who she was beyond just how she died, we can make sure that Lauren's light continues to shine, even in the darkest corners of this tragedy.